Welcome back to Disc and Ball's Golf Channel, where today we're doing a drone fly-through of Fritchie Park in Slidell, Louisiana. I had hoped to have this out before the Fritchie Park Summer Challenge tournament, C-Tier, was held, but life got in the way, so I apologize for that. Fritchie Park is a tightly wooded course, lots of short par 3s, but very, very technical. There are a few open holes, but for the most part, you're playing through the woods, and really got to hit your lines, even shape lines through these tight corridors. And with that said, let's get into the hole breakdowns. Hole 1 is a low ceiling 330-foot par 3, 101 European units. We don't care about those. There is a high spike hyzer line if you have that sort of power, but most people are going to go under this right side limb here and try and keep it low. The left side is an option for right hand backhand, or right hand forehand, sorry, left hand backhand. But there is a berm here you can see on the left side that will catch your disc potentially. So most people take the right route. Challenging hole right off the start to get the power right out of the car unless you warm up. Hole 2 is a 496-foot par 4. And the reason that this hole is a par 4 is because there are kind of two sections to the hole. The first is the sort of tunnely tee shot, which goes out into this open area. And the second part is the approach to the basket, which crosses this out-of-bound road. The center section of the road, the little island there, is in play. It is safe, but the pavement itself is OB. So most people will lay up. There is an option to try and bomb it all the way over and give yourself an easy birdie approach, or just bomb it all the way into putting range for the eagle. Hole number 3 is a 348-foot par 3 that starts over this fence. So if you have a low release, that fence could come into play. There is OB all along the right side. It's open on the left side, minus all those trees, and low ceiling for your approach. The basket is hanging and elevated, and there are an assortment of things inside the circle that can hinder your putt, but overall, a fair test of skill. Hole number 4 at 219 feet is one of the first more technical holes. It's a left to right shape, and typically people will try to go inside of these two trees on the left. Sometimes people will push long and bring that fence into play, which is OB if you go over it. But once you get around that corner, it gives you inside of 45 feet for birdie. Hole number 5 is 252 feet, par 3, and the drone is mostly going to fly this center gap, which is the more direct route. There is a big left to right skip play that kind of opens up once you get past that first little cluster of trees. The drone's actually going to go down that lane instead of the center, but pretty straightforward. Take the straight or the left route to give yourself the birdie. Hole number 6 is only 10 feet longer than hole 5, but it plays a lot longer because of the shape of the fairway. At 262 feet, you have to take it out to this left side first. Although there is a low ceiling right route that's a little bit more straight, most people will play the right hand forehand or turn over with a left to right shape to get to the basket. Hole 7 has two major lines. The first one, the more popular one, is this straight one that the drone is flying. But to the right, there's a big, wide flare skip option, which, for those of you who can't hit your gaps like me, I should play that more often. If you have a straddle putt in your arsenal, anything in the circle should give you a look. Hole number 8 at 254 feet is your fairly basic left to right shot. Mid-range or overstable fairway, something like a Firebird is very popular. Just throw it down this gap, let it fade to the right, and really pretty basic as far as shapes. There are a couple of trees here toward the end of the fairway that can cause some mischief, but for the most part, you're probably going to have a birdie look. At 339 feet, hole number 9 is probably the hardest hole on the course. It is a strong straight shot, maybe slightly drifting to the left before eventually fading out back to the right. There is a corner here that kind of caps out the straight shot, 260, 270-ish if I recall. And then it fades pretty decently to the right to get to the basket. The backhand turnover for the right-handed player is popular, along with forehands. Someone aced with the forehand, so shout out to them. Unfortunately, they were not in the ace pot, so brutal. But yeah, very challenging hole. Hole number 10, what you see is what you get. It is 205 feet straight down the middle. I don't think I've ever seen anyone try one of these side routes. There is a fun little human bird nest, I guess, to the right here before the basket. Not sure what that guy was up to. I've heard some people put incense in it, the same guy probably. But no, it's throw it down the middle. It is an ace run opportunity. If I had to describe hole 11 in 2 words, it would be deceptively tricky. It's 231 feet, but the shape of the fairway isn't necessarily a straight forehand, like with an overstable like you would a zone or whatnot. Maybe a tiny bit of a flip up. These left trees come into play if your disc doesn't fade. The backhand is also treacherous, and then that creek there plays as OB. Basket's elevated, great opportunity for rollaways if you're into that sort of thing. I personally try to avoid it, but yeah, it's for 240 feet, fairly bogey prone. Hole number 12 is your basic 300-foot 2-option disc golf hole. There's the wide left to right option, don't throw it over the baseball fence, or this drone is taking the center line, which a little more challenging, a little tighter, but if you don't have that left to right shot, this is totally viable. Pretty straightforward, pretty basic, 300 feet. Hole number 13, as a friendly reminder, don't feed the snakes or alligators, including with yourself. This hole actually has 2 baskets. One is the short 245-foot basket that the drone is going to now. Pretty straightforward. Throw something flat. Don't let it turn over into the swamp. That is the graveyard to the most discs on the course, I would imagine. So 245 feet, and then if you get to here, a little bit right of this basket location is probably one of the better spots to be for the long pin, which adds another couple hundred feet. And also has it's a big arcing turn to get out there. So challenging par 4 as the long basket. Hole number 14 should be a pretty easy 183-foot hole, but because of the shape of the fairway as it kind of turns right here, it kind of puts it in between a backhand turnover for the right-handed player and a forehand. So finding that disc selection that works to get you down near the basket is key. The basket is elevated and hanging. It used to be on a stump, but I think the stump rotted out. I apologize for the janky drone coverage here. I felt it was rude to fly over the guys who let me fly through their playing of the hole. Hole 15 is 229 feet, and most people take this right line out over the dog park. Big like spike hyzer for the right-hander. This center line is available. It is very thin and very treacherous. Probably get some bad kicks trying to go that way. The forehand roller is also an option, I learned. Hole number 16 is 270 feet. There is a line over this red tee pad that the drone is taking, but if you can't hit your lines, there's a big skip line out to the right along the baseball fence. It looks like there might be a line to the left, but that'd be a weird flex for the right-hander, possibly workable for a lefty. Hole 17 features Fritchie's only mandatory. It is a mandatory left, about 50 or 60 feet off the tee on this 262-foot hole. It's pretty gently shaping left to right the whole length of the fairway. A little bit straight at first, I suppose. But the basket is in this nice little cutout of trees. Sometimes not nice, as like your putt can roll away behind them, but sometimes they act as a backstop. Fritchie's final hole is a 534-foot par 4, and this stop sign is definitely in play for the forehand, as we learned this weekend. The fence is a little beyond 300 feet, leaving you about a 240-foot upshot if you put the disc right next to it. I got overzealous and just was flying the drone really fast and zoomed right past the basket. But yeah, if you have 300 feet of power, it's almost a soft par 4 to finish the round. So there you have it. The fly-through of Fritchie Park in Slidell, Louisiana. Slightly late for the Fritchie Challenge, but I'm sure we'll have more tournaments out here, especially as the disc golf scene grows. A huge thank you to Chris McElroy for running the event. As always, thank you all for watching, and hopefully I see you on the course.